Kenyatta University Hospital was developed through a concessional loan between the Exim Bank of China and the government of Kenya. And the original plan after completing and operationalizing the hospital was that Kenyatta University will develop the hospital through the government guarantee the loan. And on completion, the university was to own and operate the hospital and pay the loan through the government as per the on-lending agreement signed on 18th August 2011. And with this, the hospital was to be self-sustaining through fees paid, charges levied on services rendered, besides grants, budgetary allocations from the university, government education. Project developed the cost of 720 million is equivalent to 8.7 billion Kenyan shillings. The project had 4 components: design preparation, infrastructure development, biomedical equipment, and personnel and capacity building. The 3 items, that is design, infrastructure, and equipping, are complete. But the 4th aspect on personnel and capacity building is still outstanding. This item is still outstanding because this disbursement, as per the loan agreement, is tied to training of personnel who are yet to be recruited by the university, and the loan did not include recruitment and salaries as their operational expenses. The total amount which is outstanding is 1.378 billion. One of the questions we are asked to itemize the components within the personnel and capacity building, and that's itemized where it's covering training, furniture, vehicles, pharmaceuticals, administration costs, consumables, and information communication technology, all itemized. So with this, the hospital was to operate in different phases. And the first phase that we are looking at is the dry run and soft opening up to a capacity of 160 beds. So with this happening, considering this is a new hospital and we'll be starting in phases, we'll not open everything at once, but we are looking at some critical areas that we'll be focusing on as we grow with time. So these staff are required in the first stage because they need to familiarize themselves with the areas within the hospital for seamless handover of the facility when the contractor is handing over. They have a number of roles. Some of them we are looking at ensuring all necessary registrations as required by the law are done. There's room by room inspection which has to be done for compliance. There's a NAC list that's supposed to be worked on the contractor to finalize before handover. The inventory of all this equipment and ownership was supposed to be talked by this group. Then the dry run itself before the final handover takeover is done is supposed to be covered by the same group. We have the additional staff that will be coming in. So once the system has run over the period, then the finalizing of exactly who else is supposed to be added will be prepared by this list, by this team that is coming in, together with the budget that is required. And for this dry run and soft opening, there's a budget of about 665 million, which we are requesting for. And the request from the committee was to give a breakdown of this amount, and we've given that breakdown. So we've given the breakdown of the same, which is including the salaries, clinical costs, repair and maintenance, operational expenses, and some capital expenditure on the same. Among the same also, we are only asking for 656. But the request the committee was asking last time is what is Kenyatta University's contribution. And looking at that, KU is already contributing about 235 million. This is through the staff who are already seconded to this facility, and it will be on top of the 656 amount that we are requesting to get. So as per the original plan, of the government supporting the institution, Kenyatta University prepared a budget which was submitted to the National Treasury through the Ministry of Education. And on receipt of this, the National Treasury requested the Ministry of Education to come up with a governance and management policy, considering this is the first public university-owned hospital. The policy was developed, and on approval by the Council and the Ministry, it was submitted to the National Treasury. Then following this, the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, convened a meeting with Kenyatta University on 4th April. And in that meeting, the university was advised to look at other operational models so as not to depend on the government as per the policy that we had submitted earlier. The university was also requested to consider public-private partnership as an option amongst these. With this done, the government would consider providing the 656 million that we're requesting so that it can unlock the 1.3 amount that is still held by the financier from the loan. With this, the university worked on different models, and it came up with 5 models. The first one was KU with a public-private partnership on operate and maintenance model. This is because we already have the infrastructure and equipment in place. So the PPP partner will only come in to operate and maintain. The second option was KU with a management contract, but this with a management contract still does not get us off the government, because we'll be going to the government to get finances for us to be able to manage that. So that option was KU managed hospital, and this was the original plan that we had submitted with the policy document. Fourth was KU as a state corporation. Then the last one is KU as a lease operator. Considering the original objective of teaching, training, research, and clinical services, the first option of KU with a public-private partner on R&M considered to be the best suited, because those issues will be considered, and also the aspect of reversing the outbound medical tourism and the inbound medical tourism will be worked on successfully. There are a number of benefits which are derived from this model. For instance, the risk will be shared between the university and the private partner. The inherent risks will be appraised early enough to determine feasibility of the project. The private partner will offer service solution given the necessary expertise and innovative designs and financing. And Kenyatta University will specify the output specifications, and the private partner will innovate, see how they can be delivered. Then the collaboration between the university and the partner will bring in management financial efficiencies, the hospital. And KU as a project owner will demand high quality management of the facility without financial strain because of the input of the private partner. And there will be easy access to capital injection from the private sector if need be. These are some of the benefits among others. And last time we also asked to come up with a roadmap. So if we are to take this PPP model, what's the roadmap like? PPP, from where we are now on R&M operator, is taking up to about 1 year. So if we start the process from the concept note, submission of the concept note, approval through the National Treasury, appointment of the transaction advisor, mobilizing this project team, due diligence, decision making. Then you got the second phase of request for proposal, pre-qualification, evaluation, agreement, and award will go up to October in 2019. As this is going on, we're also looking at the operationalization process that we're talking about now, where we need the 656 to start the process. That roadmap indicates that if we start the process now, then by that time of October 2019, the process of operationalizing the hospital will have been completed, so that we are able to tie together with this PPP partner that is coming in. The other question which you raised was sustainability plan of the hospital post-PPP. For that to happen, we've looked at the numbers, and if you're starting from now with zero, where we expect to get this 656 million, then by the year 2023, 2024, will be on the positive side, where the amount is reducing as you go down. That is on Annex 4, the document that we have on page 7 of 8. Annex 4, page 7 of 8. We have a summary on sustainability plan. So the second column, where we have 2017-2018, if we get the 656, the first row is showing the income that we have. The second is showing the expenditure, and the third row shows the profit or the government grant that we're getting. So starting now, we are looking at negative 656, which is the grant that we get from the government. Looking at 2018, 2019, if we open the hospital up to 160 bed, we expect to collect about 554 million. And our expenditure is 1.8, so we'll require 1.3 input from the government. So if we go into the PPP, then this is the kind of injection we'll get from the PPP. And as you go on, up to 2022, 2023, it has reduced down to 22 million. So from 2023, 2024, it's now positive. That means if we have a PPP partner, then from the 2023, 2024, even if you get out of it, then the capacity has been built and the hospital is able to sustain itself from there on. So it's after 5 years, then we are able to move positively. And this is based on assumptions. We've started with about 20%, 30%, 40%. This is quite pessimistic, but if you look at the normal occupancy of 60 and above, then you are able to meet these targets then much, much faster than we are looking at now. Projected revenue streams. That is table 2, page 4 of 8. So you are looking at the projected revenue streams, which is building into the figures. So we have tuition. We have the 30% tuition share. We have services, rent, and others. So from 2018-2019, if you look at, we're looking at the totals of 2.7, and it goes growing that way. So with this kind of revenues, then we are able to meet our loan obligations and still remain with enough funds for those to be able to sustain itself. So based on this, what's the KU request? KU requests the committee to allocate the 656, 608, 207 Kenya shillings, which you can use for the dry and the soft opening. Then looking at the PPP model that we are working on, we request the committee in fast-tracking the approval of the same, so that we can really finish this within the time that you're looking at for us to start working. Thank you.
For us to have a hospital that we can manage ourselves because of the reasons we have given. But when we approached the government, actually we were told that already we have pumped in 8 billion in the construction. And we were told the way the situation is, it will be very difficult for the government to start to continue pumping in money for operations. And when you look at the phases we have given, it is quite clear that the first few years will not be able to make any money, even to pay loan. So we felt that for us to be able to weather the storm of the first few years before we make anything, we needed some money. We needed some money to start servicing the loan. Already the interest of the loan is being serviced by the government, and it is supposed to be loaded in when we start paying the loan. So basically what we are saying, Chair, is that we are bringing in PPP to assist us to be able to run the hospital when we don't have capital. We are also saying we needed some firms that have got the experience of running a hospital to inject their expertise so that we have a situation where the hospital is going to be run efficiently. So basically, the reason why we were asking for the PPP is because we wanted somebody who can inject some money when it is not possible for us to generate any profits to be able to service a loan and to continue sustaining the hospital. I think that is quite clear. And then